Recording in progress. Hello, my name's Elaine Snarson, leader, and this podcast is called From Despair to Repentance: Spirituality, Prison, and Restorative Justice. This program is sponsored by the Institute of Jewish Spirituality and Society, where I'm a fellow. The mission of IJSS is to advance scholarship, social transformation, bringing Jewish spiritual knowledge to bear on the toughest challenges of contemporary society. We break down barriers between spheres of knowledge and practice, enabling long-term collaboration among scholars, social researchers, human service practitioners, and people of everyday life. Please visit us at www.ijss.org to find out more about what we do. In my capacity as a fellow, I've been speaking around the country about restorative justice using a spiritual lens. This year is our second year with podcasts, bringing you people who've been engaged in the work on the ground, but imbuing what they've experienced and been part of with a spiritual practice. To that end, I'm thrilled to say that today I have someone that I have worked with in the past. I'm introducing you to my colleague, Robert, with whom I did two victim offender dialogues, one under very unusual circumstances and one that was very powerful in person. Robert will introduce himself, but let me just say I met him when he was incarcerated at San Quentin Prison, where he had been doing 20 years on a 25 to life, I believe, sentence. You can clarify that, on kidnapping and bank robbery. And then we had the remarkable experience of having Robert and the victims of his crime meet. So let me introduce you to Robert. And perhaps, Robert, you might start out by saying who you are and tell us a bit about yourself, something about your background.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Miss Elaine. My name is Robert Ortiz, and I was born in Goleta, California, a little small town above Santa Barbara. And I was raised in different areas and locations. My father was in the military. So at about three, we packed up, went to Hawaii. From three to six and a half, Hawaii was beautiful. Two more siblings. I'm the eldest of four. So we came from Hawaii with three of us to Camp Pendleton Marine Corps Base in Oceanside, California, which is where I grew up from six and a half to 25 years old. At 25 years old is when I committed my life crime of kidnapping for ransom of a bank manager and her family. And 20, let me see what I've been, almost 25 years later, since I committed that crime, having a beautiful interview with you and the beautiful world.
And what
Trying
have
to
you?
make it beautiful, even though it's wretched. We're trying to make it more beautiful.
Good. And tell me, where are you located right now?
Right
Where?
now, I live in Ventura, California, and Santa Barbara, California, sometimes, where my girlfriend lives. So between Santa Barbara and Ventura.
Okay. Well, why don't you start by telling me how you happen to become involved in a victim offender dialogue? What happened that made this happen?
Well, this one has to go a little bit. I have to peel the skin back a little bit further on this one for myself because how I was able to have a victim offender dialogue, which I didn't have no clue about it at first, was that about midway through my 20 years that I did, um, I got a letter from one of my victims, well, two of my victims. They were both of them wrote the letter together. So once I had that letter, I didn't know what to do because I know that you can't contact your victims. I didn't know if it was a trick because a lot of other things that happened along the way in court. So for me, um, it was beautiful what it said. Like I didn't expect that, but at the same time, I just for protection of myself and not knowing, I just had to kind of like sit with it. But I ended up sitting with that letter for years until I ended up at like let me see, San Luis Obispo, From San Luis Obispo, I ended up in San Quentin. And during that time in San Quentin, um, I went to Restorative Justice Symposium because they had a lot of programs there, a lot of self help groups. If you wanted to work on yourself, you could there. It was an environment where you were able to do that. So, doing that and doing restorative justice classes and symposiums, I did one, and I happened to meet somebody that was a spiritual elder in a spiritual practice that we have been self teaching ourselves in San Quentin for a few years. And by that, we were able to connect in our spiritual belief system and um, everything he brought from the spiritual place in Nigeria where this is founded was beautiful because we were sitting here self-teaching ourselves through books and printouts and things that we just printed out and handed to everybody and studied. So it was just awesome. Later, fast forward from that, we had been he had he volunteered to come in once a week, sometimes twice a week, for free, of course, and probably cost him to come see us. And he stayed loyal with us for like all the way until he had to move for 9+ years.
Hmm.
During a time that we had a spiritual outside grounds that were created for us to do our spiritual practice, um, I told him about my crime and what happened and how I had a letter from my victims. And it was a pretty deep day. I'll shed some tears on it. It's a deep letter, and so I didn't know what to do with it, and so he told me that he also did um, victim offender dialogues and explained to me what they were, and I was like, wow, that would be awesome if I were able to respond to this letter. So eventually he got the process started, we'll say like that, and we were able to exchange letters. And from those letters, we were eventually able to have a conversation. And from that conversation, we were eventually able to have a victim offender dialogue. We were not able to have it in prison because of COVID, and they shut us down. They also postponed my parole date, which at that time I thought was the bad thing, but it actually was a good thing because it helped me connect the last few dots that I had to connect, and made me go even deeper on my remorse letters and my apology letters. To even like I was saying, peel some mother layer of the skin back. I did that maybe 2 layers of skin to get deeper and rewrite all my apology and some remorse letters.
May I ask you, what was it that the victim said to you in those letters that were so touching?
Um, the main things were 3 things: that they no longer seen me as that person slash monster that came into their home and kidnapped them and tied them up and thought they were gonna die if their mom didn't rob the bank. And they didn't see me as that no more. That they seen something in me that I apologize. I did apologize to Bria in court. And I felt bad and terrible, but at that time, I also felt like I had my hands kind of tied, like as far as I can go to say anything of apology because of our defense, and because I had co-defendants, and also because um, appeal purposes. There's a long process of things and how things go in the appeal process. So I was only able to extend it by saying that I apologize and reading out that I apologize to Bria and for the situation um, in court during sentencing.
And perhaps now we can talk about how it was that we were able during COVID to do this very weird kind of dialogue, because I'll describe the situation. You had written a letter
Mm-hmm.
that I was to, because you can't communicate directly with victims, that
Hmm.
I was to convey to the victims. And you and I and my co-facilitator, who is your spiritual guide,
Hmm.
our dear Noel, uh,
Correct.
uh, I said, why don't I just call them up and read the letter while you're on the Zoom? And so I called them. It was COVID. They got on the line separately in two different, like, uh,
Mhm.
joint call. I read the letter to them, which was very beautiful and poignant and apologetic and deep. As you say, you really worked on your remorse and your apologies. And then I think it was I held the phone up to the Zoom and you two were talking a bit, you three. Was that correct? Did that
Mhm.
happen?
That's
Yeah.
how it happened.
And that was your first real connection in like
Yeah,
19 or 20 years, right?
correct,
And then again, let me describe, you had a parole hearing soon thereafter. Is that correct?
correct.
And the young victim stayed on hold to testify on your behalf in the parole hearing so that you would get out as a result of the conversation and the remorse that they felt you were conveying to them. Am I getting that all right?
That's correct. She was on hold and then got cut off and couldn't get through. Later, I find out that Noel helped patch her through, or he said something to them because when they kind of know that somebody may want to advocate, they may not get through.
Oh, what a surprise, right?
Just
Okay,
saying.
right. So, and then she spoke on your behalf for your parole hearing.
Yeah. Yes, she did. She
And how
spoke on my
soon
behalf.
thereafter? I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah, she spoke on my behalf, and she basically said, we've been staying in touch with Robert throughout the later part of the process of his process, and we're happy with what he's doing with his life. We feel that not only has he done the time, he's done the work, and you guys should let him come home. Something like that. Maybe not the exact words, but something like that. It just hit me pretty deep in the heart that one of the three people that I kidnapped and tied up. I'll use I statements, even though I had co-defendants, because I prefer to do that. So it was just hard for me to be like, wow, like not only are they advocating for me, like they're rooting for me to come out here and do something with my life. And we're good friends to this day. If I wanted to call her, she wanted to call me, we can do that with no restrictions. Um, so it was pretty deep for me with that one.
And how soon thereafter were you granted parole
Uh,
after the hearing?
yeah, I was granted parole, but when you go to the parole board, there's a process. You don't immediately go when you're granted parole. There's a process of probably so people that are convicted of crimes and they have a life sentence, they have to wait like 120 days, right? Which is 4 months, up to 4 months before they let you go and do all your paperwork, run other checks in other states and make sure nobody else wants you and run the DNA, the whole thingy. And then for people that have murders, well, bodies or a death, something like that, however you want to word it, when they've taken a life or they've been charged or doing time for taking a life, sometimes they didn't do it. They have to wait 150 days, 5 months, to maybe even six, I believe.
But that wasn't your circumstance. No one
I I actually waited close to the 4 months. Yes,
did,
yeah,
even though
it was
his life
about
was big.
I want to say about 100 and something days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then you paroled,
Hmm.
and can you say something about the process after
Yeah.
that? Then we'll
So
get to the dialogue in real
So
time.
the process when you parole is like they'll come wake you up real early, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, depending on the place. But of course, you're not going to be able to sleep. And at the time I'm leaving somebody that's dear to me. I was roommates with him for 6 years, and because I have his permission, I know while we were roommates, he let me speak of this. But he's also one of my co-defendants. So a lot of the work that I did with these different groups, not all of them, but a lot of them, we did them together. So I wouldn't be here without his input and influence in hand and keep me accountable to when I take a group and what I took it for. So I have to say that, and I appreciate him for that. But it was hard to just leave somebody like that. That's also your co-defendant, your buddy from the same town, and he just didn't qualify to go to the board like we did. So
Did he eventually?
he's home now. Um, he's doing great. Still on parole. Um, they have a restriction with him and I, which they should not have, and they still haven't cleared it up. So
That you
I
can't.
believe that Noel and I is going to have to contact Sacramento because they're playing games down here.
Uh-huh.
You know, I've
So you
even went to
can't
see the.
see him? Is that the problem?
Yeah, they're saying that he can't be around me because I'm his co-defendant, but I personally wrote a letter to the board, and they said they would not put a restriction. I even sent them on my letterhead of the job that I used to work with kids. You know, I was a program advocator for the kids that I work with until this cancer happened, and that's a whole nother story. We'll get there. But he's doing great. I can't contact with him, but my family can. So they're letting me know he's doing great. I'm rooting for him. If he needs something and I can help in my means, even in my meager means, I will help him,
Hmm.
and definitely waiting till this gets cleared up. But it's
Hmm.
awesome for him to be home. And I believe that everybody has paroled now.
All three of you.
All three of us, yes.
Okay. Now let's go to the prep that you say you've done in this process, and then I think we could talk about the actual face-to-face that we did. But what preparation had you done for yourself around restorative justice, or even the prep that Noel and I did with you before you were paroled, and then once you were paroled? How'd you
Well,
do?
you know what? Restorative justice. It was times where I was just taking classes and programs to get chronos, so the board sees that you took something. But I'm going to tell you and the world, just like I told the board, every single class, even if I was just chrono chasing, like going to get the chrono to make it look good in my parole packet, every single class or program that I took, I got some out of it. And some of them that I didn't think I was going to get much end up being some that I flourished in, only because there was awesome people helping me.
Hmm.
So we were restorative justice. I went to a symposium and I sat in circles, and it was awesome to be able to talk talk about a topic, listen about a topic, and be a part of the community in a topic. So when that started, um, I started getting more curious about it because I wanted to definitely restore some justice to a lot of the injustices that I've done. Starting with my life crime that I committed, and then as going as far as to when I was in high school and I stole a football card from a guy named Robert Hernandez. So when you see this, and if you see this, if you guys know him, went to Oceanside High School, let him know Robert Ortiz has his Emmett Smith action pack football card that I want to return and
Oh,
make amends to him and see what else I owe him for harming him that way.
good for you. Good for you.
So that's
So
what
what
restorative
about,
justice taught me.
and then on the prep for the dialogue, we met with you several times.
Several times, yes.
And do you remember what we did or what the process that was? What we talk about?
We talked about first of all, we had to talk also about not crossing lines like what the guards like we were prepping to do it inside. So there's a lot of things that like the guards or that prison, because each prison's different. They have overall rules, but also each prison has their individual rules. So we had to make sure we didn't cross those lines. We had to make sure that we didn't say certain things that were inappropriate. Um, Also, along with my writing, Noel really helped me to change some of my words or verbiage to make it more compassionate instead of more like I'm apologizing, but it was more like raw, you know what I mean? And this is more like gentle with it to hand it to you like this, not just give it to you, you know what I mean? That so it was like cushion words, and some you have to keep raw. So he really helped me, he's a professor along with a whole bunch of other things that he does. A spiritual elder, master carpenter. I mean, I could go on and on, right?
Falconer.
Falconer, there you go. Yes, awesome, man. It was just awesome to meet him and for him to take us to another level. And then with you coming in and knowing I'm going to be working with you and him being my spiritual elder and a facilitator, I just really just feel like this is what we need to be able to do. Like the way that it's designed, where we can't contact victims, we get it, but it should be more info out there on how they can,
Hmm.
you know, or how can we start to make indirect amends to them if we can't contact them, to start a process of healing, even if it's not directly to them. So these are like different things that I learned, in restoring justice. You don't have to necessarily do it directly too.
Right, right. Well, so let's go to the dialogue itself. And I have to say, it was quite an experience on April 20th, 2022. In where was it that we went?
It was in Ventura County, specifically Oxnard, California, at the Oxnard Parole Office.
Right. And present were you and your parole officer, your mother, your sister,
Mhm.
Noel, me, the two of the victims, and the victim's brother.
Correct.
So I think there were like 10 of us in the room or something. And can you describe it? What was it like for you meeting them in person and walking into that room? I think you were in the room and the victims came in.
Yeah.
I brought them in. You were sitting,
Um,
Noel and the parole officer.
I'm a pretty calm um person. I don't get rattled or that, but that when they walked in, like I felt like how do I fix something I hurt? How do I start? And I just said just let it go, and then for they just came in wanting to hug people, and that just opened it up. And they came with gifts.
For your mother, I
Gave my
think,
mom a peace lily. I remember a
uh,
peace lily, and they gave me a book.
right? And didn't we start? I think someone started with a prayer.
Yeah,
I think the
I
brother.
remember. Was it Dave that started with a prayer?
I think the brother of
The brother. Yes,
the
the brother.
older
Yes,
victim.
the brother started. Yes, and then do you remember who closed the prayer?
Yes. Why don't you say who it was?
You
It
say it.
stumped me.
You do it. You
All
do it.
right. It was the parole officer.
Yeah.
That one blew me away. It
Yeah.
was like a parole officer giving a benediction, but it turns out he was some kind of an elder in some church, and he was so moved by the process.
Oh, it hit him in the heart, man. I seen him.
Yeah.
It hit him in the heart and with a good dagger.
Yeah.
Like medicine to the heart dagger. Like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. If you
Yeah.
were a part of that, like how can you not feel that beautifulness in there?
Yeah. Well, and I remember things that happened that, maybe we can talk about for me that were very meaningful. You read a beautiful, profound apology letter. I've kept your letter and I use it as a model to give other prisoners as ways of really being authentically apologetic and having remorse. Um, you read them, and then to each of the victims. And then what happened? I don't even remember after that.
Um, I think people just, let out their emotions in a lot of different ways, whether it was a lot of air in and out, whether it was squeezing your eyes, whether it's letting out tears.
I think we all cried.
you Um, it was just awesome. Like I people don't may not believe me, some people, but now they get it. Like the day we were able to do that through the phone, um, felt better. And I'm not taking nothing away from being found suitable. And I think I've said this to you and Noel. Um, the day that we had that, and I never asked for an apology, and they apologized to me, and I was able to apologize to no, excuse me, I apologized to them, and they forgave me for something that I would never ask for forgiveness for. That day, it felt like not just weight lifted. That day, like I said it in the room, ancestors are smiling today, right now, because we have healed some trauma that could have been passed on to generations that were just growing up like Bria, and some that still wasn't here, like my grandkids, because them traumas get passed both ways. Trauma happens a lot of ways, you know. And
Mhm.
that day we got to hear it from my mom and my sister and the letdowns and everything they had to endure, you know.
Yeah, they did. They spoke. Your
Yeah,
mother apologized to the
yeah,
victims and said she didn't raise a son who would do
absolutely not.
such things. Your sister said something like that the consequence of your going to prison and doing the crime really messed her life up for
Mhm.
a while. But if I remember correctly, she was now getting her kids back, going to school. She was
Yeah.
being transformed too.
She's doing awesome now. She's not looked back. She only has one of her kids to go. She's a sophomore in high school, so she'll be out of school soon, and that's it. All of them have their own little places now. One's married in the Navy, and her husband's in the Navy. So one more to go. She's doing awesome. You know, she was actually went back to school so she can get her last thing to get her master's. I want to say.
I think in
Yeah,
social work, she said she
yeah,
was. Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
So, what happened as a result of these coming together? It's not just the dialogue, but the process. What's happened to you as a consequence of having participated in all of this?
Okay, well, uh, I'm gonna use a different word instead of a consequence. I'm gonna say the blessing that I got out of restorative justice and being part of restorative justice and applying restorative justice and still applying restorative justice in my daily life is that I have become straight medicine instead of poison to the world. Simple as
Wow.
that. Simple as that.
Straight medicine.
Straight
What does
medicine.
that mean?
I am not a traumatizer of people or places or things no more. To be around me is not poison. It's not negative. It's not look at me and you want to go the opposite way like back in the days. You know, now today it's like people want to be around me. They feel the beautiful energy. I want to be medicine to the world. It's wretched, I know, but I'll throw my little rock in the pond and it's going to make ripple effects. Somebody will feel them, and I'm okay with that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know, I'm okay with that. And for the people that don't want it, fine.
Uh-huh.
I just don't give people, places, and things my time anymore because I'm taking from the ones that deserve it.
Uh-huh. And so in what ways are you so involved or engaged? What do you do?
Well, I became the program coordinator of Freedom for Youth, which is uh, it's a nonprofit organization that works with at-risk youth from the ages of like 13 to like 26. And what I specifically did is I work with the kids, picking them up from school at times, getting them to appointments, meeting with them in probation, making sure that they understand what their probation terms are if they're on probation, making sure that the probation officer also lets him know or her know what their terms are so that they know, making sure that my youngsters are accountable when they sign a paper saying that's what they're going to do, and reminding them that if you don't want to do that, then your butt should stay in jail and not sign for that deal.
Uh,
You
so
sh-
you can do tough love with them
Yeah,
too.
I do tough love them with them because this is, you just got to talk to these kids real, and a lived experience person is so beneficial to be able to help them because I've been down so many crossroads that I know where they lead. So I can give you the tool that you need when you get to the crossroads. It's up to you to use it. Or you could end up like Robert, like Bobby, stuck with triple life in there. You know what I mean? And then figure your way home if you
Uh-huh.
make it home, you know, because you got to navigate in there. It's a whole different world in there, you know. So
Oh, yes.
for me, it's just like that. It's just like, hey, if you keep going to jail and you keep coming home, then obviously you're not a very good criminal. So you made a find a different profession, my guy. Simple as that, you know. You don't become a criminal to go to jail. If
You
you
didn't
do, you got to
expect to
find
go,
another
huh?
profession, right?
Oh,
Uh-oh, there we go.
there we go.
Got to
There we
find
go.
a different profession if that's the case. So, like I told him, man, you want to keep breaking your loved ones' hearts, especially your moms, if you're ones that have them, then do that. You know, just that means your loyalties elsewhere. Some loyalties will overlap. I get it, but for the most part, it's not going to lead you in a very good place unless you take what you can and really put it into the community,
Uh-huh.
which that is a rare thing, but it happens too.
Have
So
you seen kids transform, Bobby?
I have actually. I just seen two of my youngsters because I've been out of work since last April because that's when I was diagnosed with cancer again, and we'll talk about that. But I seen two of my youngsters. I took my daughter that was in town. Um, we went and ate at this place called Rusty's Pizza. It's kind of famous out here in Santa Barbara area. So we went, and two of the youngsters were there, and I thought I knew them, and they said Bobby, and I seen them, and I said hi, and then they're both doing good. One had a drinking problem. He's doing great now, almost going to graduate from high school. The other one graduated high school. He's now in City College, and he wants to take a profession in doing tattoos. So, I mean, hey, we got a guy that actually does them and was a mentor. So I'm trying to connect them, even though I don't work for the organization no more, you know?
Uh-huh. You
So,
mentioned cancer. What's going on with that?
so last April, I was supposed to go in for a checkup and I felt a lump, and it didn't hurt. And then in one area, it kind of hurt. So we started checking things out and come to find out, cancer came back. And I fought cancer before in
Where
prison
is it?
where I was incarcerated, and they did biopsy. And come to find out, when they did that biopsy, they were supposed to take it out because it was cancer. That was the deal. And then they closed me back up and told me they couldn't get the results on time. So then 2 weeks later, they tell me it's cancer. So for 2 weeks, it was exposed in my body.
Oh,
And then they gave me a chemo treatment that they shouldn't have gave me. It was the one you're supposed to not give me. So I don't know if it's guinea pigging or what, but long story short, it worked. But what they didn't tell me was to not eat sugar and do a lot of things. They actually had sugar right next to me while I was getting the chemo, a whole big old thing of candy. So now, fast forward, um, what is that? 2010, 2025 is when it happened. 15 years later, I got diagnosed again. And this time it was in my blood as well, astronomically high in my blood. Um, but I didn't want to do no treatments, no biopsies, no, no chemotherapy, no radiation. And I chose to attack this naturally and holistically, starving it out. I become 27 pounds lighter. I'm already a small guy,
mhm.
but I feel better. And it was awesome while I was getting disability, but then that ran out. So I was about to go back to work, and then they had a merger, and my position was one of two or three that's no longer there. So
Oh,
now
wow.
I'm out of work. I can't get disability. I've been doing odd jobs, but Noel started a GoFundMe, so we've been working on that, and I'm doing little odd jobs, and I'm getting myself strong enough to be able to work longer. Because it wasn't very strenuous what I did. It was, it's very very stressful. It can be, because you really feel for these kids, and you have to draw a line at a time to do your job, and not get too emotional about your job when it has to be professional. So it's a high stress job, but it's not physically stressing. I'm very good at other physical stressing jobs that I'm doing now, but then my body just doesn't allow me to do that because I have to heal the way I'm. So I'm kind of in a catch 22. So
Mhm.
that's where I'm at. And I'm starting some things off for myself, a curriculum that I was telling you about that has restorative justice practices, a little nonviolent communication,
Tell us about this.
and ancestorship. So I'm gonna start this curriculum up. I'm good friends with the principal here at La Cuesta High School in Santa Barbara. And my sister works at City College, and then we have two professors that are also in our spiritual belief system at UC Santa Barbara. So the curriculum will be about maybe about an hour, maybe about an hour and a half if we have 30 minutes of discussion. Maybe once or twice a week. I'm on the last stages of putting it together and have Noel polish it and fine tune it for me. But it will be the introduction. It won't be restorative justice class or nonviolent communication or ancestor class. It will be the very beginning fundamentals of how to restore the justice when you have caused damage or injustice. How you can do it in indirect way, which then we bring amends in and introduce them to amends. The nonviolent communication, we will give them the basic skills of it so that they're able to talk down a situation that will be escalated into a fight or somebody getting hurt or killed by knowing what your words to use um, to make sure that both you guys leave out or girls leave out of there winning. Like example, nonviolent communication. I'm about to get in a fight with somebody, and I know he's pissed because maybe I did something, and I can be like, you know what? Before we go and knock this down, and one of us really gets hurt, or one of us further than that, or we both go to jail, whatever, or it goes further. I want to say I apologize for putting you in that situation. I shouldn't have done that, and now we're here. So first of all, I want to apologize for that. And I want to leave both here winners. I don't want to lose, and I don't want you to lose. So I'm hoping that that will be enough. And if not, tell me what I can do to make this right, but fairly.
Mm, mm.
And then that's a try. Now, if you have to go and around with a person and then they feel better, well, okay, but I still want to fight, then you try again in other ways. And there's other little words and techniques, and we'll do little scenes there so they can see, so they can learn these things. And then the last one would be, what is your ancestor? Do you have a relationship with your ancestor? Do you think they hear you? It depends on your belief system, but if we threw, now let's not throw it out. Let's just look at it as a human being and some human religion, just a world religion where you just do people right, like
Mhm.
something like that.
Uh-huh.
But ancestorship is acknowledging the people that came before you that's connected to you, even the people that was forcefully put there. Because you
Mm.
know what? I went as far as to apologize for the forceful ancestors that I have. And
What is a forceful
the
ancestor?
forceful ancestors that I have would be the people that enslaved my people
Okay,
and why I mixed all up.
I see. You're multiracial,
Um,
multi-ethnic.
yeah, I'm multi everything. So like I've apologized to people, and me and one of the victims that's friends now, um, I had a long, like 2-hour conversation with her one time, and we talked about being accountable. And I told her my accountability goes deeper than my own self. I'm right now trying to fix things my ancestors fucked up, or excuse me, messed up.
It's okay.
So that this trauma and generational trauma don't keep going from something they created while I'm still here in this world. Because I want a celebration when I get there.
Very cool. Bobby, you are quite wonderful. I just adore talking to you. You just
I
have
love
an
talking with you.
element of spirituality. You are so deep, and that's what I really appreciate about you.
Thank you.
So tell me, is there anything else you'd like to talk about or say to our audience? Any words you'd like to leave folks
Yeah.
with?
Yeah, well, I'll touch it on it. I touched on it a little bit, but what I'll leave everybody with is don't give your time to people, places, and things, right? That don't deserve it. And when you're giving it to the people that don't. Because what happens is you take it from the people that do deserve it, and you never get time back. Time is priceless. You never get it back. I'm still trying to make up for all lost time I've been gone,
Mhm.
you know? So that's what I would leave people with. And be medicine, not poison.
I love
Be
it.
medicine.
You really are profound, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Robert Ortiz in
Thank
New
you.
Santa
Uh,
Barbara.
And one last thing.
Please.
Um, if you guys want to know about my GoFundMe, you guys just go to my GoFundMe, turning wounds into medicine, and
That's
you
what it's
guys will see
called.
that. Yeah, my spiritual elder, Mr. Noel Amhurt, Dr. Noel Amhurt, excuse me, is running the GoFundMe for me, and it is strictly for my supplements and my therapies because right now I stopped my therapies because I have no funds, and when I do go make money, it's just for my rent. We got a mortgage and bills that got to get paid, so that's where I'm at with it. I am still winning because I've done everything naturally and holistically. So now I'm like kind of like a herbalist where I find out what they're trying to give me. I find the herb or the tree or whatever I can from the earth, and I concoct me a tea and consume it. And here I am. I'm actually winning. I'm like about 60%, 65 maybe at times winning. And I'm just teeter-tottering with that right now. But
Excellent.
I wanted you guys just to continue to be medicine. No matter what's going on with you, you can always remember that's a person wishing for your worst day.
Thank you, Robert Ortiz, very much for your time. It's been
Elaine.
delightful to talk to you again.
Awesome.
Thank
Awesome talking with you all the time.